Hi, I'm Celso Caballero. I'm the Aboitiz Power Thermal Business Group President and COO. And you're live and tuned in to Power Podcast.
Welcome to Power Podcast, where we do an in-depth discussion on all issues relevant to the Philippines energy sector with some of the most quotable newsmakers and important decision makers in the industry. Power Podcast is a production of Power Philippines, the only online publication in the country dedicated to covering energy development across the archipelago. We cover all news and issues that spark meaningful conversations among members of our growing online community. Like them, we believe that sustaining the growth of the energy sector is vital to the growth of the country itself. I'm your host, Nika Roque, and let's get on with the show. Good day. Thank you for joining us in this special episode of Power Podcast. Whether you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, or listening to us via Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, we hope you will enjoy listening in. I am your host, Nika Roque. The country faces global supply chain uncertainties arising from geopolitical conflicts, insufficient transmission infrastructure, and the anticipated effects of prolonged dry spells on hydroelectric power output. The dwindling Malampaya gas fields and the projected 6.6 increase in electricity consumption this year, which will require up to 700 megawatts of additional power, also add to the grim scenario. Considered one of the fastest growing emerging markets, with this economy projected to grow 6.5 to 7.5% in 2024, the Philippines will need reliable, safe, and sustainable energy to fuel its growth. The Panay outage at the beginning of the year underscored the need to ensure the country's energy security. And this period of El Nino and other global challenges that confront the power sector, key industry players are taking a hard look. At the core of the discussion is the need for a just and equitable energy transition that will assure power consumers that there will be enough, reliable, and affordable electricity for all. But before we further dive in, let's all watch this video.
With great power comes great responsibility. No one understands this better than Aboitiz Power. We have the power to create and influence change, and we have the power to transform the landscapes of what we do for our customers, our communities, our country, our nation, and ultimately, our world. We at Aboitiz Power are no strangers to transformation. We live it. We breathe it. It is the current that runs through our veins. We are now at the brink of the single biggest transition in energy that we will undertake. This will require massive effort from everyone, from the executive leadership teams to every team member from all over the nation in every area where we operate, from every single stakeholder. So where do we get this energy to power our transformation? From the people that make our purpose the reason why we do what we do.
Sayo mi mo mata kada adlaw, mag-andam, musulod sa trabaho, aron masugaan namo hangtod sa pinakalayo nga dapit ug maprotektahan ang atong mga linya sa kuryente. Siguro para sa mga nanay kuryente daan, dili ni espesyal. Sama sa hangin, mamatikdan na nimo yung presensya kung wala na nimo ni damhi. Apan sa mga wala pa nakasinati ini, kadtong nagpuyo sa mga lagyong mga lugar, kabalo sila kung unsa kini kaimportante. Isip ko sa kalainman, ginabuhat nako ang kutob sa akong arangan aron masigurado nga adunay kuryente ang tanang paningalay. Kauban ang Aboitiz Power, walay tawo o pamilya nga mapasagdan.
Importante siguraduhin ang reliable at affordable na supply ng electricity para sa lahat. Dahil pag siguradong maasahan at abot kaya ang kuryente, siguradong maasahan din ang asenso at abot kamay din ang mga pangarap. Ang mga bata makakapag-aral, makakapagtapos at makakapaghanap buhay ng maayos para sa mas magandang buhay para sa kanila at sa kanilang pamilya. And it's not just about uplifting their lives, but helping them achieve their dreams. Kaya ako narito. Kaya ako ginagawa ang best ko. Para lahat may chance, maging the best din para sa kanila.
The ultimate dream will always be to have a better world, not just for me, but for future generations. I want a future where my kids and their kids get to enjoy the things we got to enjoy in our childhood. Fresh air, parks to run barefoot in, nearby beaches to spend our weekends with the family. For me, this is why I do what I do with and for Aboitiz Power. I want to be part of creating and transforming energy that will drive and deliver the world I want for my family. It's not just about cleaner energy, it's also about access to energy. Developing livable and walkable cities and enabling safe workspaces where I can be the best version of me. It's tough to think about everything that needs to be done, but together, kayang-kaya nating to.
Para sa mga nanay na nag-aalaga sa mga anak nila.
Para sa mga online seller na nagtitinda upang maitawid ang pangangailangan ng pamilya.
Para sa mga scholars na gabi-gabi nagpupuyat para makapagtapos sa pag-aaral.
Para sa mga mag-uuma nga gapaningkamot para makaon ang tibuok nasod.
For our children and our children's children.
For all of us and every Filipino.
For the country.
For the world.
Any transformation, a massive one at that, is never easy. But we have our collective determination, we have our passion to serve, and we have our drive to do what is good for stakeholders, for our people, and for every Filipino. And most importantly, we have the power. We can do this, and we will.
As one of the country's primary power generators, Aboitiz Power is positioned to be at the forefront of the national energy transition goal, with its aspiration for a 50-50 balance in its energy portfolio by 2030. Today, we dissect the requirements of such energy transition. Here with us to help give clarity to these requisites is the President and COO of the Aboitiz Power Thermal Business Group, Mr. Celso Caballero III. Welcome to Power Podcast, Sir Celso.
Thank you for having me, Nika. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the Power Philippines community is eager to know your take on the country's energy transition and Aboitiz Power Thermal's plans in that regard. So let me start with a quick assessment of the country's energy situation. Do you think that there is a looming energy crisis, Sir Celso?
Thank you for that question, Nika. No, I think I've been asked that question a number of times. Several factors contribute to the challenge of the Philippines' energy situation, where the intent is to help provide or build a sustainable, equitable, and secure energy system for the Philippines. There's the country's energy mix considerations, the rapidly ballooning population and energy demand, the country's inclination to build more infrastructure projects that demand greater energy requirements, geopolitical challenges that limit us from engaging in energy import activities, not to mention the vulnerability of the country to natural disasters, daming bagyo, which undoubtedly adds another layer of complexity to the Philippines' energy puzzle. Indeed, while factors like supply, demand, supply chain, and prices are crucial considerations, we must not overlook the fundamentals of transmission and distribution, which are also essential in the effective delivery of electrical energy to the communities. That there are a lot of things at play that could impede the country's energy aspirations. But while there are concerns about the future of the energy landscape, there are also important things. It's also important to recognize ongoing efforts of our lawmakers, of our regulators, down to the power companies like us, who keep on exploring diverse energy options and innovations to strike that balance.
Okay, sir, I'll jump right ahead to the next question. The Philippine Energy Plan has been designed to address such headwinds and ensure the country's energy security. Can you tell us more about what transition has to be made in the energy sector and what does this transition entail?
So the Philippine Energy Plan outlines the country's energy strategy for transitioning towards a more sustainable and resilient energy sector. Emphasis on resilient. This includes goals, policies, and actions aimed at diversifying the energy mix, promoting energy efficiency, and increasing the share of renewable energy resources in the overall energy portfolio. It's crucial to emphasize the flexibility in power generation. No? We need to offer more options to meet the diverse needs of the people. Shifting too soon or too fast, Nika, to renewable energy may also limit the options for the transmission and distribution sectors. This is because premature and rapid shifts to variable renewable energies may overlook the necessary upgrades, no, and expansions required of our transmission and distribution infrastructure to accommodate all these changing energy mixes, the technologies, and this may jeopardize the reliability and effectiveness of the energy transition process. While moving towards clean energy is vital, we must also consider supply adequacy and price stability. Will the supply be sufficient, stable, and reliable in consonance with the requirements of power demand? And can we anticipate these lower prices? These questions are paramount as we navigate this complicated transition.
So on that note, sir, can you share with us your thoughts on where the country is in the energy transition scheme? And at what stage is the power sector in realizing the Philippine energy plan? On your opinion, sir, where are we?
Great question. We put a lot of thought thinking about that. The country has made commendable strides towards reaching its 2040 energy goal, aiming at a balance of 50-50 transition in the energy mix. However, as of the end of 2023, renewable energy accounts for only 22% of the total energy mix thus far, no? Indicating that significant work remains to be done. There are also key challenges such as the grid integration, policy and regulatory framework, and investment incentives still needed to be addressed to propel the transition forward. It is imperative to acknowledge that while expanding the renewable energy generation portfolio is essential, the readiness of transmission lines, grid infrastructure, metering technologies, and supportive policies is equally crucial. Without a mature and prepared infrastructure and regulatory environment, Nika, the attainment of the energy plan's objectives could be compromised. It's vital to recognize that existing baseload plants serve as the backbone of our economy and are integral in facilitating the smooth integration of renewable energy sources because of their reliability compared to the more variable renewable energy sources at present. Disregarding their significant risks hindering national progress and depriving communities and disadvantaged areas particularly, of access to cheap and reliable electricity. Those of us who were born in the 80s and remember still the rotating brownouts can relate to this. And of course, the opportunities for socio-economic development get curtailed. Thus, a balanced approach and that considers the interplay between conventional and renewable energy sources, along with new technologies like battery energy storage, distributed energy resources, it is essential to attain a sustainable energy transition while fostering inclusive growth, which is very important, and development for all.
So in one of your speeches, Sir Celso, you mentioned that the Philippines, like many other countries, is faced with an energy trilemma. Can you elaborate on this, especially for our Philippines community?
Looks like you've been to one of my speeches in the academic sector, Nika. No? So I explained this particularly to our younger engineers. So the energy trilemma is what the World Energy Council considers as three biggest priorities of the energy industry. First, you have energy security. This means ensuring that we have sufficient and reliable energy supply for both current and future energy demand. No? And that means the sufficient amount of reserves in our energy mix. Second, you have energy equity. That means access and affordability of electricity to consumers. Cost, of course, being the primary concern here. And lastly, but not the least, is of course environmental sustainability. That means having an energy system that is working for the good of the environment, such as using renewable or low carbon energy sources, utilizing technology and data science to boost energy efficiency and so on. And of course, that's for our children and for their future.
Sir, on the three factors that you mentioned, sa tingin nyo, ano po yung pinaka-importante or yung pinaka-dapat unahin to achieve? Or is it a three-in-one thing?
Well, I believe that the balance among the trilemma is the important component. Because If one of these three factors are not properly addressed, then you're certain that you will slow down the transition. So it's actually a balance among these three facets.
So as head of the Aboitiz Power Thermal Group, how do you see your unit's role in addressing this trilemma?
This is oftentimes something we discuss in the town halls of the team that's working in thermal. So balancing the energy trilemma of reliability, affordability, and sustainability presents a complex challenge. No, it's not easy. Secure and reliable electricity is essential for driving human progress, while affordable power is crucial for maintaining social stability and fostering development. In the Philippine context, where electricity demand is forecasted to rise by 6.6% annually until 2040, the need to double supply in 11 years is imperative to sustain the growth and development of industries, cities, and rural communities. Given this scenario, there is a need to diversify our range of energy sources to meet the increasing demand and to complement the Philippine Energy Plan. The country will need all forms of energy to meet this goal. For thermal, we consistently enhance the technologies employed in our current power plants. We're expanding power capacity within existing sites and have been integrating storage systems to provide prompt supply during periods of high demand. Additionally, we're strategizing to introduce variable renewable energy sources, or VREs, by setting the stage with hybrid battery energy storage systems and transition fuels like LNG or liquefied natural gas to augment our supply capacity. This expansion of our portfolio aligns with our aspiration to reduce our carbon footprint while meeting growing energy demands of our country.
Moving on to our next question. Aboitiz Power is looking at a total generation capacity of 9,200 megawatts by 2030, which is 6 years from now. So what power sources will the company prioritize in order to reach this goal? And if I may add, why prioritize these sources?
Great question. No? Aboitiz Power continues to expand and diversify its renewable energy portfolio with a target of 4,600 of clean energy, megawatts of clean energy. Almost 1,000 megawatts of renewable energy is in AP's pipeline already. Meanwhile, our thermal group prioritizes the availability of baseload sources to complement. Our approach emphasizes a balanced strategy that supports the Philippine Energy Plan. As previously announced, our Therma Visayas coal-fired power plant in Toledo, Cebu, is undergoing an expansion with the addition of a 150 megawatt capacity to the existing 300 megawatts. This capacity expansion comes at a critical juncture of the Visayas region, which faces thinner energy reserves compared to Luzon and to Mindanao. Given the region's aggressive economic growth, we must take action now to prevent an energy shortage in the whole region, which will affect its economic growth. We're also studying and considering the most modern baseload resources and viable low-carbon baseload technologies such as liquefied natural gas, or LNG, ammonia co-firing, and even nuclear technologies. These baseload sources are being considered in alignment with both local and global energy strategies aimed to minimize the environmental impacts while ensuring the provision of dependable and abundant power to meet the needs of the expanding population. The group also added energy storage to our portfolio, recognizing the importance in stabilizing the grid amidst the variability of renewable energy sources and plant outages.
So moving on to the highlight of our conversation today, sir, what do you think is needed to set the stage for the country's energy transition?
Okay. So it's in understanding what we call the triggers that need to be put in place to transition smoothly into a more renewable energy system. We must embrace technology, first and foremost, and upgrade our existing infrastructure. Not just the generation, but also the transmission and distribution to be ready for additional capacity, be it renewable energy or thermal. The energy landscape is evolving into a complex mix of diverse energy sources, intelligent grids, batteries, smart power plants, smart technologies. We need to sustain this momentum by understanding what works for Filipinos and having the policies, resources, and safeguards to support it.
So you mentioned, sir, that there is a need to update the technologies that we have right now. So how do you see this as a game changer in the country's energy sector?
Artificial intelligence, for example, can be a technology that we can use to ensure the higher reliability of baseload power plants. Now, that means we burn less fuel to make more energy and to guarantee that energy is available whenever it's needed. So these technologies are fantastic. They're out and they're available, and we must utilize them as soon as possible on our energy mix.
So in your opinion, Sir Celso, what is the right or balanced energy mix and how will this help in our transition?
Well, we've studied this in great detail. No? So the energy mix varies from country to country, right? It's a fine balance between what consumers need today, our future demand, and what we want as our country's energy system to be like in the future. No? Ano ba yung mga sources natin ng indigenous energy, for example? Understanding where we are right now and what we need right now will help guide a more informed and just transition. But ultimately, the right energy mix is the one that not only satisfies the nation's energy demand, but also fosters socio-economic development. This have to come hand in hand, no? And enhances overall human prosperity.
When we say balanced energy mix, this is also including those who are currently not being reached by our national grid, those in the off-grid area. I know, and I think everyone knows that those in the off-grid areas, those who have very minimal power sources, sila dapat yung i-prioritize when it comes to this. So I have to ask, sir, how do you think this should be taken? Unahin
That's
ba
right.
yung nasa grid or paano ba?
Well, that's why we're saying that while we in the generation sector are doing our best to build the latest necessary power plants, both from renewable energy and thermal, our transmission and distribution sectors also have to be improved. And that's where we will be able to reach the farthest and disenfranchised parts of the Philippines.
Going back, you've also spoken about just and equitable energy transition. So what do you believe is needed in order to achieve this?
The transition to sustainable energy must prioritize justice and equity, as you said, Nika, no? Both globally and within individual countries, especially in addressing the socio-economic development needs of developing nations like ours. No? Our solution is obviously different from that of a first world. Timing and the options that are available to us will also be different. So challenges such as power supply disruptions and volatile fuel prices, which hinder our country's development and competitiveness, underscore the importance of balancing the energy trilemma. We cannot go extreme to either one of the three. No, we have to come at a balance. Achieving a just and equitable energy transition is essential for the success of global decarbonization efforts and for ensuring inclusivity in the shift towards cleaner energy sources. In the Philippines, industry leaders are united in enhancing energy security and providing reliable, accessible, and affordable electricity for all. Collaborative efforts among stakeholders hold the potential to eradicate energy poverty and foster a more sustainable future. In thermal, we are aligning with the Philippine Energy Plan's vision for a just transition. Again, it's imperative to continually evaluate and enhance strategies tailored to our present energy requirements. By leveraging available data, we can proactively anticipate future needs and prepare accordingly, ensuring resilience and sustainability in our energy approach. 2, the prioritization of socio-economic concerns, like I said earlier, cannot be detached from the equation. A just transition requires placing paramount importance on addressing the needs and concerns of all segments of society. Ensuring universal access to energy is fundamental in meeting every individual's basic needs, particularly those from the marginalized and vulnerable communities, as we discussed. A just and equitable energy transition entails ensuring universal access to power and equal economic and social opportunities for all. And lastly, is investing in new technologies. We must embrace technology, especially as renewable energy expands to increase its share in the energy mix. Those involved in baseload power generation are also supporting current energy demands. We need to explore, study, and invest in new technologies that align with our resources and operational needs.
So, how do you see energy transition play out in the country in the next 5 to 10 years on that
Okay, let me
regard?
see if my crystal ball will work here. No? Over the next 5 to 10 years, the energy transition in the Philippines is poised for significant growth and transformation. I believe the country will be more aggressive in increasing renewable energy sources. That is the ideal scenario if we keep being on track with the energy plan. As highlighted previously, the country's growth trajectory remains robust with an expected economic growth of 6.5% this year, followed by a projected 3.2% increase in 2025, driving a sustained increase in energy demand. Baseload power plants like coal, liquefied natural gas, and possibly initial nuclear projects in the early 2030s will play a crucial role in meeting this demand by providing dependable power to support the country's rapid growth. Nevertheless, transitioning away from traditional energy sources such as coal will become increasingly viable as renewable energy scales up. In combination with smart and flexible energy sources like battery storage, natural gas to power, and to match our future energy needs. The shift towards cleaner energy will also be facilitated by expanding our energy storage solutions and addressing intermittency challenges likely associated with renewable energy integration. I think as a proactive measure, we have already launched our hybrid battery energy storage system, initially installed in Therma Marine M1 in Mako in Davao de Oro. This forward-looking approach underscores our commitment to integrating sustainable solutions to support the transition. Moreover, advancements in grid modernization efforts and digital technologies are anticipated to bolster grid reliability, better planning, and facilitate better management of the integration of renewable energy sources.
To conclude our discussions, what should the country's power stakeholders need to do to urgently achieve the energy transition that everyone envisions?
Thank you for that, Nika. Creating jobs is vital for reducing poverty, and attracting industry investments hinges on competitive infrastructure and reliable power supply. There must be a balance that allows countries to develop at their own pace rather than striving to match standards and timelines set by more advanced nations, which could prove to be counterproductive in the long term. For the Philippines to achieve a just and equitable transition, it is imperative to adopt a perspective that balances local needs with global considerations. We must have an energy transition and timeline that is bespoke to the needs of our country, the Philippines. We must not rush into this transition. By understanding local economic trends and challenges, we can approach issues with a global mindset, ensuring that our solutions are both relevant and impactful on a broader scale. Government agencies and private sectors must work closely to develop, strengthen, and implement policies aligned with our energy plan. On the supply side, this involves aggressively building our transmission lines, broadening the scope of the distribution utilities, and enforcing generating companies to expand and develop new sources of energy that is not only reliable and reasonably priced, but also environmentally sustainable. Meanwhile, on the demand side, this includes promoting greater energy efficiency, meaning using only what we really absolutely need, electrifying the economy, such as increasing electric mobility, and embracing distributed energy systems where consumers can actively participate in energy production. A long ways to go, but we can certainly do it if we do it together.
So I have one last question for you, Sir Celso. On the scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade the country's energy transition plan today?
I think given the various complexities involved in the country, I would give all stakeholders a 10 for giving it their very best. Having said that, we still need 10s on an ongoing basis because only by working together can we really make this transition happen.
And on that note, thank you, Mr. Caballero. It was a pleasant and informative experience talking to you. I'm sure that the Power Philippines community has a lot of questions to ask, but unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today.
Yeah, thank you, Nika. It was a pleasure to speak to somebody so intelligent and so young. I feel so young now having spoken to you. No? It's great that we're able to share our thoughts with the industry, and we really appreciate that you continue to engage us, and so that we can share more of this knowledge. Thank you very much.
And thank you as well, Aboitiz Power Thermal Business Group President and COO, Celso Caballero III, for joining us. We hope to see you again in our future episodes.
Thank you, Nika.
And that wraps up today's Power Podcast. Tune in next time as we converse with the movers and shakers of the country's energy sector. For your comments and suggestions, you may message us through Power Philippines Facebook Messenger account or email us at news.powerph@gmail.com. And of course, be updated on the country's energy sector by visiting powerphilippines.com and by liking us on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you want to view this podcast again, check out our YouTube channel at Power Philippines News. I am Nika Roque and have a powerful day ahead.